Welcome back to Barn Built Beaters. In the last episode, we got this cab mocked up onto the new chassis, and in this episode, we'll be building the body mounts to permanently install the cab onto the new chassis. We currently have some temporary body mounts holding up the front of the cab while we work on the back half. Once we're done with the back half, we'll move forwards, grind those old body mounts off, and build some permanent ones. That way we can officially mount the cab to the new chassis. We have to remove this cab, put it somewhere out of the way, and we'll get working on the back body mounts. I do apologize if the filming isn't the best. I'm using my camera stand to mount at laser level 2 to get the body nice and square and don't want to touch it until we are done mounting the body to the chassis. I had to get a little creative on filming and ended up placing you guys on random things around my shop to include my bench press, my bandsaw, the front clip, and I even used my engine hoist as a filming tool, which honestly worked out pretty well, and I'll be using it in the future. You see me here holding the Wrist Breaker 1.0. It is a 6-inch hole saw to drill into the cross member for the start of our rear body mounts. The Dodge body mount you see is what we will be using to mount the cab. The cross member was nearly the exact height we needed, but due to the added extra height of our body mount, I had to sink it down into the cross member to get this cab to sit correctly. I am now cutting out a plate which the body mount will secure itself to and will be placed into the 6-inch hole. As the plate sits far into the hole we drilled, we need to make a border to close out the gap. I shape a thin piece of steel around my old rotor and weld it onto the plate. Lastly, holes are needed to be drilled to accommodate the body mount studs and the bushing. With the plate sitting level in the hole, I use some DOM tubing to add some strength into the upper and lower portions of the cross member, which we removed when we drilled through. It also makes it look a bit more finished. After some fabrication, both body mounts are tacked into place and ready for the cab mock-up to make sure I didn't mess up anything. This body mount is just a tad bit further along than this one over here. I flipped this body mount upside down and welded on some nuts, so this body mount is actually secure while this one can be lifted up slightly. We're ready to get the cab back over here and mock it up to make sure I didn't mess up anything, and if everything's good, we'll move forward and work on the front body mounts. So let's get that cab over here and see how she looks. This cab looks absolutely fantastic. We have it completely mocked up and the body lines of the bed match up with the body lines on the cab. My laser level did show that the cab is sitting just a hair taller than the bed, but my eyes and probably yours, no one's ever going to notice, so we're just going to rock with it, and worst case, we shim up the bed to match. Since the rear cab mounts worked so well, we're going to move our way forwards, and that means we just put this cab on to take it back off again to work on those front body mounts. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. We'll remove it, cut those temporary body mounts off, and start building official ones. After some back and forth on the grinder, we finally got the body mount to match the curvature of the frame. I just tacked it into place. Unfortunately, it's really hard to get the camera in here, especially without a camera stand, but we have it tacked into place. I'm going to add some gussets, tack those into place, and with the final weld, I'll bring you in, show you what I did, and make sure you're all caught up to speed. So now that this side is tacked into place, we'll jump over to the passenger side and get that one in the same state as well. Now that we have the front cab mounts tacked onto the frame, we need to pull the cab off, place it somewhere safe, and final weld these in. Now with the cab off, I can show you the front and the rear cab mounts. Here's a shot of the rear. We cut a 6-inch hole to put that body mount a little bit further deeper into that cross member, and we still have to weld nuts on so those bolts can actually be secured down. Then in the front, we have this body mount right here, a gusset on that side with a body mount on top, and a smaller gusset right there to support that side as well. Here is the passenger side, obviously the same as the driver's side. We just need to final weld these. We were able to get everything all finished welding, and now it's permanently installed. The only thing that we have to do left is these back cab mounts. I welded the tops, but to weld the other side, I have to take the bed off. So we'll get the rest of the body mocked up, and then we'll take all the body off and finish welding. All of my welds turned out halfway decent, some a little junky, but for the most part pretty good. I got in a little trouble on that vertical portion right there, as there was a strange hole that I didn't know was there. So it got thin, hot, and melted through. But I was able to repair it, and it's fully welded up and won't go anywhere. These back mounts turned out pretty decent too, a little tricky because I didn't want to move my welder, so I was at the very edge of my cord. But for the most part, they turned out decent as well. We just got the cab back onto the chassis, and as a surprise, I also mounted the front end. It's not completely installed, which is why it's sagging, and I probably should have filmed it because that process took me forever. It was a pain, but as always, it's gonna have to come back off to go back on to build some body mounts. So you guys will see that process. But the truck, the cab, the bed, and even sort of the front end looks really, really good. It's nice and straight. The bed body line to the cab body line matches up quite nicely, and I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out the entirety of this project. But anyways, that wraps up this video. So if you guys enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future content. Be sure to like and leave me a comment on what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next one.